Welcome to In My Backyard with Jenna and
Jody.
And today we are actually talking about building some beekeeping equipment. So if you've watched the show before, you know that Jody's a beekeeper and I am not yet, and I'm interested in becoming a beekeeper someday. And so today we're going to be talking about some of the things that you can do to get ready for your season.
Right. So these are things that you can do on your downtime.
Now, just a quick question. It's colder outside right now while we're doing this. And so are your bees sort of hibernating right now?
They
are. Is that why you don't need to give them attention?
Yeah, there's really nothing that you want to do with them right now, because what they're doing is they're clustering and they're all getting close together so that they can keep that hive nice and warm. In the center of that cluster, if the queen is going to be able to lay eggs, it's going to be about 94 degrees in the middle of the winter.
So what are we doing today?
We are going to build a deep hive body. Hives have several different boxes that they use, and so this one's pretty deep. This will be a place where they'll have their brood, which is their eggs and pollen and honey and nectar, things that they need to build the hive up in numbers. So what we're going to build today is that hive body. It's again a deep, and it's got little ridges on it. These things are really nice because they smell good.
Yeah, they do. I know, I can smell them right here.
Yeah.
What kind of wood is this?
It's just pine, but that's one of the things about beekeeping is everything smells good.
Yeah.
So you've got the hive body, you've got honey when you're extracting. It's wonderful. So
now, when I see these stacked up, when I drive by people's homes that have hives, I see this usually on the bottom, right? And then I'll see some narrower ones, the smaller ones stacked more up top. So we're making the deep one today.
Right. So these are two different sizes. You've got some short ones here, and you've got some longer ones here. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to line them down so that we put them the right way. We also want to make sure that the handles are facing up. And out. And so what we'll do is we'll line this up and then we'll get started. So
now, do you buy these locally? Do you buy them online? How do you end up with these?
There's all kinds of places that you can buy your equipment from. What we do suggest is that once you buy your equipment from someplace, you want to try to buy the same equipment from them continuously, because what happens is the frames, which I'm going to show you a little bit later, but the frames come down to a certain level in the box.
Fit together.
Right. And there's a bee space. And so you want them to have about 3/8 of an inch to
crawl
walk
around.
Through. Right. If they have more, they're going to build burr comb, which is wax that is just filling in the gaps. If they don't have enough space, that's not going to make them happy either. So you want to try to get them from the same companies. For us, I've been beekeeping for about 10 years, and we've got equipment from every place. So there's not much you can do after you've been a beekeeper for a while. But as somebody that's starting out, if you can order it all from the same company, it'll be a lot less headaches for you.
Great.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to line everything up. I'm going to just put everything the way we're going to put it together. So these handles are on the outside. And what we're going to do, what we're going to do is we're going to glue everything.
Facing down.
Oops.
Should we turn
Turn
that
it around? Yep. So we're going to glue all of the edges, and then we're going to hammer them. And what we're going to try to do also is, I usually eye it, but if you have a square, you can make sure that they're square, because you want all your boxes to fit squarely up on top of each other, because if some are angled off, it's going to allow rain to come in. So you want to make sure that they're all square if you can help it. But you can pretty much eye it, but if you want to use a square, some people do. Okay. All right. So I think we're just going to get going here, and we'll see how this goes.
All right.
So we're going to put, and this is Gorilla Glue. You can use any kind of an outdoor glue. It's got to be something that will make it outside. And then this one's going to go on, as you can see, together.
Handles up.
So this one's going to go on next.
So you're not using a ton of glue.
Nope. It's just to keep everything together. And these should slide on pretty easily. And then I'm just going to take a hammer and get everything down. So now what we're going to do is we've got that one together. We're going to go to the next one. So if you want to do that one, if you want to glue this end, these ends here, I'll hold this for now. We're going to glue this one here.
Down in here, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And what we're going to do is we're going to get it all together, and then we'll make sure that it's all squared up. And you might want to also keep, and you can do all those too. And you might also want to keep a sponge around so that you can clean up any of the excess glue that's around. It's not a big deal, because you're going to paint the outside of this box again anyway. So, but it does make it a little bit easier. So we'll take that. If you can just hold that for there for a minute. This just makes it easier for us to put everything together. So now what you can do is you can glue these here, this here, and then we'll glue this other one. We'll get this on that side, this over here. Okay, so what we've done now is we've got everything together, at least so that we're not going to have a lot of glue dripping out all over everything. But now what we've got to do is pull the box together because, as you can see, there's lots of spaces here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to just keep manipulating it and trying to get everything together. So that's okay. All right, I'm going to flip it again, and what I do is, oh, this looks pretty good here. This is a pretty good joint here, where there's no gaps on either side. So we're going to start nailing.
Oh, really?
Okay, yep. Okay. So I have some nails here.
Do we nail in every single spot
You do.
here?
So you're going to get some pretty good muscles on this. So what we do is, in each of these spaces, right in the middle, we're going to put a nail. So we're going to have a nail here, nail here, nail, nail, nail. And then we're going to flip it around. But what I do is sometimes, just to make sure that it's all even and it's square, I'll do a few on this one, then I'll do a few on the next one, and then I'll just flip it around until I have everything done. So I'll just show you how to do the first one. Done.
She makes it look so easy.
There you go.
I always hammer nails crooked. Always. So you want me to do it over here now?
Yep.
Or I'll hit my thumb or something. Oh my gosh, it went in straight.
Yeah.
It's a miracle.
So can you know, this is something that you can do with your family. Your boys would love this.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we'll put in 2 or 3 on each of these sides for right now. And what I do is I just choose the sides that are the best.
Wow.
Okay.
I've been lucky. 3 out of 3.
And I'm going to go get a sponge while I have you continue. And you know what we're looking for. We're just looking for tight joints. You can do some over here.
So this doesn't look as tight to me, so should I fix that?
Right. What you could do is this one over here looks pretty good.
Okay.
So you could do like 2 here.
And then come over here.
Pound it down and get the other one started.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. So I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
So I'm just going to wipe off some of this excess glue here, because what happens is it sticks to the newspaper.
Until you're practiced at this, you get it done in fewer strokes.
Let me see, how many have I built? This is one of the most fun things that I do with beekeeping, because it really, these look beautiful. It doesn't take much to do this.
You don't even need a saw.
No, and everything is already built for you. It's like paint by numbers almost. So it looks like we've got 2 on just about every side. So now it's just a matter of finishing all of the nails. So do you want to do a few and then I'll do a few and go from there?
Yep.
All right. So what we're going to do is, after we're done with this box, we'll let it dry and then we'll paint it. And what we do is we go to any of the home centers and we're always looking for cheap paint. So we just paint with latex paint. And that's why you'll see that we have yellow hives, we have blue hives.
Just whatever's on sale.
Yeah, you know, you could go with just white. White is fine, and that's what, you know, they suggest, but you can also go with any other color too.
Doesn't matter to the bees?
No. It actually, it makes it better for the bees, because when they're coming in, they'll know where to go, because if everything was white, they'd be like, okay, you got 5 white houses, which one do I live in?
Right.
So they would do something called drifting. So
they might end up in a hive that's not theirs.
Right. And so what could happen, a lot of times, the hives that are on the middle, those will be the ones that everybody comes to, because they get confused. Okay.
Great.
What do you think? I think we're all done.
That was so easy.
And that took us, what, 5 minutes?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like all the corners are great. So now we have our box. And inside the box, you can see at the shorter sides, they have a little ridge, and that's where the frames are going to go.
Okay.
Okay. So the next step for this would be to let it sit and dry, and then to paint the outside, and then once you get it,
you don't paint the inside at all?
Never ever paint anything on the inside.
Okay.
No. The outside is being painted because of weatherization.
Okay.
Just so that it weathers well and doesn't crack or.
And you don't want the bees exposed to the paint then.
Right.
That's why you don't paint the inside.
Right,
Okay.
right. Yep. And so we might clean up some of this glue that's on the inside, but that's all going to get dried, and the bees will do something called propolyze anyway. They've got this like bee glue that they'll put on the inside here anyway.
Okay.
So they'll probably fill some of this in anyway.
Well then.
Nope. Okay. So what I have here is. These are a couple of different kinds of frames. These are too short. These are a medium frame, but this will give you a good example of some of the different styles of foundations that we use.
So these hang in here like this way, right?
Right, yep. So this will go in this box like this, only this would be in a shorter box.
Right.
And so this will hang, there'll be 10 frames in here. Unless you gave me, yeah, I think it's a 10 frame. I don't know. Okay. What I'm thinking is, I don't know if this is a 10 frame box or an 8 frame box, but I think it's a 10 frame. So we'll
one
see.
Or the other.
Yes.
One or the other.
So this foundation here is plastic, and it's on a plastic frame as well. Okay. So when you buy this, you buy it just like this. It has a little coating of wax on it, and the bees will draw it out. You can see it's got like a little.
It's got the hexagon pattern.
Right. And that's already imprinted into the plastic. So that's what some people like to use. Another thing that people use is a wood foundation, a wood frame with a plastic foundation. And you can see that this is white, this is black.
Doesn't matter.
Now, well, some things are used for different purposes. Like the black is easy if you use like the black on the deeps because you can see the eggs. The eggs are little white things. So you can see how the white
here would be easy to see, whereas here it would be very difficult.
Right. So for a beginner, the black might be better. And they say that in some cases the bees like the black better. If there's a choice of plastic of which they're going to use. So you've got the white, you've got the black. And this one here, this piece of black foundation pops right out, and you can change it pretty easily. You can see where the bees have started drawing this out a little bit. It was in one of the hives last year, but they didn't really do a whole lot. So that's those. And then the other frame that we have is this one here, and this is a wax foundation. It's a wired wax foundation with a wooden frame, and there's pins, and these little pins.
Do they hold it in?
They hold it in. Yep.
Is there a benefit to this kind? I mean, the wax?
Well, it's natural.
Right.
And I feel that the bees like the natural wax better. The problem that you have with any kind of wax, even the wax that the bees will make themselves, is there will be toxins in it. And so that's one reason that I only use pins now. What we used to do is we used to wire our foundations. And we'd take a 28-pound wire, and we'd put a little nail in, and we'd put wire in
to hold it
across here. So you were all set. That's going to last a lifetime. But now what we've been thinking is that foundation really needs to be changed out every couple of years, every 2, 3, 5 years. And that's why instead of wiring it and having to take it all apart again, because we'll reuse these, to take it all apart again, I just use these little pins. And
I see. If you can, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it has a little prong to it. You know what it looks like is a tuning fork. Don't you think?
Yeah,
and so that miniature, slides around. Yeah, it's like a
so we'll do some of this in just a couple of minutes. But this is my preference, is using a wax foundation. They do have foundations that don't have the wires in them, and those you can make comb honey out of, which is
delicious.
A great thing. Yeah, because that's one of the things that, you know, if you go into production, you can charge a little bit more for comb honey, because it was a lot more work to do than just extracting the honey and putting it in the bottles. Okay.
Yep.
So, and you can see here this little red stuff that I was talking about before, that propolis.
That's propolis.
That's propolis. And some people eat that for medicinal purposes. I just kind of use it in my hives and don't do much with it. But that's what we have. Now, one thing I did want to mention also, you can see that this frame here has been used. It's a little darker. You can see the propolis on it, and it looks like it's been burnt, and it has. This frame was in the hive before, and what we try to do is when we take the foundation out, whatever the foundation is, wax, whatever it is, we will singe the frame to try to kill any bacteria or funguses.
So it's like sterilizing it in a way.
It is, yeah. So here, a few shows ago, we talked about how great things are and not to sterilize, but in this case, it really is important because there are pathogens and things that can be passed on, and so that's what we try to do is make these as healthy as possible for the bees. They've got enough problem with varroa mites and all that other stuff.
Other things.
So this is how the frames will fit right into the hive, just like this. And it does look like a 10 frame, so there'll be 10 of these frames in the hive, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we'll put this one to the side and we will build a few frames.
Oh, good.
Okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So as I was saying, we used to have, these are the pieces that you're gonna need. We used to use wire and tighten everything up, and those with the wires, we'd have these little eyelets. So if you're interested in doing it this way, you can, and I could show you at some point, later on if you really needed to know. But you'd put these eyelets in with a little eyelet punch, and they would go in here. And so when you put the wire in, it doesn't rip through the wood.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So that's one of the other things that the kids could do if you wanted to do something like that. So I have this whole jar of eyelets that I may or may never use, and the wire. It's not a bad thing, and we teach people in our bee classes how to do that, but I really think that, the pins are so much easier. When we first got these pins, I thought, oh, what a lazy way to do it. But once I started using them, I thought, oh my gosh, there is a real good reason for using those.
So is this is the top bar, and this will be the bottom.
Right, and then of course those will be the sides.
Okay.
Yep. So what we're gonna do is we're going to also take this little bar here, is with it's gonna hold the wax in. So what we're gonna do is after we've got it all together again, we're gonna take this frame or this piece and nail it back on here to hold the foundation in.
Okay.
But what we're gonna do to start is we'll start with the top.
Okay.
And we're going to put this part, because this will be the top, on here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna glue this here.
Yep.
And put this in. We'll get it all set up with glue, and then we'll nail it.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep. So I should start with glue?
Yep. And you can actually put the glue here, because that way you won't have to worry about it dripping. Yeah. Okay. Now, one thing I didn't mention that I should is sometimes we'll shave the edges of these, because when they're in the hive right next to each other,
they fit really tight.
They do. And so having them fit like this right next to each other makes it hard to pull them apart sometimes. So what we will do is we'll take a little shaver and shave the edge. So you can see that there's an edge there that's come off.
Yep.
And we'll shave the other side too. And then that way you can see that you could get a tool. I don't have a hive tool here with me, but you could get it in between and you could pry it apart. Right.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah, so.
But I already attached that one. Is that okay?
Totally fine. Totally fine. So you can keep going on that, and I'll just do a few of these.
Okay, so that's glued. Now
Now you can put this one on, and this ridge here is going to go on the inside, correct?
That's going to hold the frame, correct? I mean, the foundation. Is that what it's called? Okay.
Yep.
I guess I never thought about when I saw you working in your beehive before, that you'd have to put all these things together before you start.
Right. Well, you can buy them already done.
Oh, really?
But I figure, what fun is that?
Yeah.
I mean, I love working with wood.
Okay.
It's just me.
So is that pretty good?
That is. So now what we're going to do is we're going to nail that, because we've glued it just so that it's got a little bit more strength. But
So
we
we
have
use
two
those
different
little nails?
sizes. Yeah, we have these nails here, which, let me just show you my hand. This nail here, it's long, it's skinny, and it'll fit in here. We can either use 1 or 2 nails. I usually use 2 if I can, but it makes it a little bit.
Do you want to try and show me the 2?
Yeah,
And
sure.
then I'll see if I can do it.
So what I try to do is make sure that everything, again, is pretty square. I've kind of eyed it. And I'm going to put a nail in here. Now these are a little bit more complicated than the boxes, just because there's not as much space for air.
2 nails.
Right. So. Okay, so that's that, and then I just turn it around, do the other 2. And then I will do the top, and again, we'll put 2 up here. This is a little bit easier, but still, you have to get it in between this
right, it's
board.
a narrow space.
Right. So don't be surprised if you nail it, and it comes out on right on one side. Okay, so we've got that, but the other thing that we're going to do too to make this a little bit stronger is if you look at this, you've got one side that's higher than the other. This side, we're going to put another nail in on each end, and we're going to put it in so that it'll hold it just a little bit stronger.
Okay.
So what I usually do is I put it on the edge of the table and try to hit that area. Say okay, and I did hit it because it took, so you could hear that it took a while to do that one.
Let me just get the glue off here for you.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. And I'm just going to put it right over the edge. Then that way, if it's on the edge, then it's nice and flat, and you're pounding into it, right into the wood. When it goes too easy, you kind of know that you didn't hit it.
You didn't hit it.
So, okay. So that's our frame.
Great.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of foundation. Foundations come in a package usually, and they usually come 10 per package because usually you use 10 frames in each hive body. So here's the frames. They've got the wire, which will be vertical. And then they've got these little tabs. These tabs are what's going to go underneath this bar that you're going to put on.
So that's how it holds it in. Okay.
Yep. And each of these pieces comes with a little piece of paper, which smells delicious.
I was about to say, it probably smells good.
Yeah.
Yep, it does.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we have the ridge that's down here. We're going to put the side that does not have the wires sticking out down into that ridge. And I usually do this when I'm sitting down, but you can do it whatever way works for you. You want your foundation to be nice and straight, so that fit in there nicely. And so what happened is this is laying on that little edge, that little lip that was there. So it's going to be kind of hard to show you on camera, but what we're going to do is we're going to nail this piece here over this.
Hold it on.
And it's going to make it nice and sturdy. Now one thing we are going to do, I just tried to center this centerpiece so that it'll be the same on each side. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some even smaller nails.
My goodness.
I thought those weren't small enough.
I'll let you do this one. Yeah, this is definitely not for...
So these nails here are the nails that we'll use in the bottom here.
Now, if you buy this stuff already made, it's probably much more expensive.
It's a little bit more expensive, but it's not all that bad. I don't know a lot of people that will buy it already made.
It's fun.
I think it is. The only thing is, you know, you're gonna hammer it, and you're probably gonna go through the foundation a few times. I'm just gonna bring this to the edge here. You're gonna hit the foundation a couple of times and break it.
Right.
You know, it's just practice. Again, I've done this a lot. I haven't done it so much lately, but I've made a lot of these, so I kind of learned what to look out for. So now you can see that there's nails here. You can put in as many nails as you want. I usually put, matters the mood I'm in, I either put 3 nails or 5 nails. Doesn't really matter, whatever I feel. Now what you're going to do on the ends is, yes, you're going to take these pins and you're going to push them in through the hole and through, and hopefully that's going to be easy. Now if they drilled the holes too small, you might have to take a nail and make the hole bigger. Yeah.
Well, I think this is my favorite part so far. Lining that up and getting it just right.
And you don't have to put these pins in every hole, but today we'll do that. It's just a matter of keeping the foundation nice and flat or straight up and down. If it gets wavy, the bees don't like to draw the comb out quite so much.
Boy, they're choosy, aren't they?
They are. They're girls.
There you go.
Because remember, you have the queen, who is the fertile female.
Fertile female.
You have the worker bee who does everything, and then you have the drones that are the big,
mate.
Yes, the big maters.
Mate and die.
Yep.
And don't have stingers, by the
Right,
way.
right.
Whenever
So
people get stung by bees and I say, oh, then it was a female.
Right.
Well, how do I know that?
Yeah.
Well, because that stinger is a ovipositor
Right,
as well.
right.
Egg depositor.
Yep.
All right, so that looks great.
There you go. Yay!
Wow. And
Yeah.
easy even for the clumsy. Even for the clumsy.
So again, isn't this a wonderful thing that you could do with your kids?
Totally.
You know,
So
you have an
fun.
afternoon that, you know, you're deciding that you're going to have a hive, you build your stuff, you get ready to go out into your hives.
Great.
And there you go. That's
great.
Yeah. So we've only got 9 more of these to go. And then that's only one hive body. So
Right.
every hive body has 10. So in every hive setup, you're probably going to have about 40 frames.
Now, what happens if you don't have this? What would the bees naturally do?
Let me show you. We've talked about top bar hives before.
Yep.
And a top bar hive is where you'd see exactly what they would do out in nature.
Right, on their own.
So this is pretty ugly looking, but what happened was we needed to put a frame in a top bar hive. So we took some comb that had eggs on it.
Okay.
And we tied it up and put it into a top bar just to keep them alive.
Right.
And so we left this in there, not thinking about it. And they decided to do what they do naturally. And they decided to
So they built all this
build
on their
comb.
own.
Right.
Oh, that is
right.
so neat.
Yep. Yep. So, yeah, that's what
So
it looks
they
like.
didn't have any foundation
No.
here at all.
No.
That is just amazing.
Yeah, they've been around a lot longer than we have.
That is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
It is.
I mean,
It
you
is.
say it looks ugly, but it is perfect. Look at all those
Yeah.
perfect little cells.
Yep. Yep.
And then did they, when you checked it, did they have eggs in these cells?
You know, I can't say for this one because this has been so long, but
Right.
it looks like they did because see how dark it is here?
Yep.
They probably had eggs in there and probably
Well, and there's some
honey.
capped.
Yeah, those are kind of
spots.
leftover things. You know, this could have gotten taken out, and for some reason those didn't, you know, survive or whatever.
Right. So interesting.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, that's what they would regularly do out in a regular
And
hive.
so here we're giving them a nice start. And then
and they're also going to do what we want them to do.
right. I was going to
Because
say make it easier for us
Right.
or for you when
Right.
you want to get the honey and manage the hive.
yeah, this is a skep.
I've heard
this
of
is,
these.
Yes.
I've heard of these.
Yep. And this is what they used to use a long time ago. And what the bees would do is they would go in and they would draw their comb out just like that.
Inside
and so
here.
you'd have comb that was like, you know, vertical. And then the people that would be the beekeepers would come in and they would just cut it out.
Oh,
so
I
they
see.
would have comb honey every time.
All the time.
And they didn't have extractors and things like that. So what they would do is they would just crush it.
So would they put this on a surface?
Yeah,
with
they probably
enough
put it on
bee
some
space?
bricks or something so that
With
the bees
enough
could get up.
space. I see. Okay.
Yeah, but the reason that we can't use these, and I think we've talked about this in another show before, is that you can't pull those frames out.
Right.
You either take the frames out completely and they start over again, or they
Stay in there.
They stay in there. So,
Right.
and that can cause, you know, some diseases and things like that.
Right,
So
to
we
stick
try to
around.
keep everything as healthy as possible. We try not to use any more medications than we need to. Because we do have varroa mites and different things that can come along. But again, that's a reason that we want to have frames in our hives.
Right.
But in the meantime, you can catch us in or on our email at inmybackyardch8@gmail.com.